So I get this question a lot while we're discussing kotegaeshi. Even if you prove and show that kotegaeshi is a valid technique that can work and is applied under pressure properly and can be practically used, the question often comes up, okay, why? Why would you prioritize it over other things that are important? Like, why focus on the wrist and do this specific hard to pull off technique if you can do a single leg or a double leg or a simple takedown in a controlling position that is very common and very high percentage and efficient? Why would you spend time developing kotegaeshi and having it as an option if there's way better ones for you to use? The thing is, biggest quality I see from kotegaeshi and the biggest strength that the technique has is energy efficiency. Like, a lot of people will say it's also sneakiness because it's sneaky. Sure, but that's not an intrinsic quality that kotegaeshi has. That's simply because most people don't train it or don't train the defense for it, because it's often associated with non-functional martial arts like Aikido and this and that and all these kung fu styles and everything, so people just dismiss it. And truth be told, it is harder to pull off standing wrist locks. It's way easier if you get a dominant position and then do the technique for the submission, but that doesn't mean that all of them are as hard to pull off. I think that kotegaeshi is, if you drill it and train it properly, if you develop it, it's actually pretty easy to pull off, dependent of course on the skill level, type, body types, everything, as any technique is. But it isn't, the sneakiness isn't an intrinsic quality of it. That's simply because people have a blind spot for it, so you might catch them off guard, which is great. But if you're rolling, sparring, or fighting somebody that's expecting you to do a kotegaeshi, and if you manage to do it still, the greatest quality that it has, it's energy efficient. So you spend really a small amount of energy for a really good position. So you gain either a dominant position to go off on the back, or getting dominant positions for other takedowns or strikes or whatever. But in the best case scenario, you take somebody down by just spending just a little bit of energy. Either you can go with a kotegaeshi and directly go to an armbar. You get the takedown, you can just ground and pound galore. So that's the biggest strength that kotegaeshi has, or some other wrist lock techniques from standing that can result in a takedown. So that's definitely, in my opinion, the defense of kotegaeshi. Even if you get it, it's not that hard to pull off if you properly train it, and it gets really good results, especially for an MMA fight. If you start dominating the person, if they start respecting your strikes, and maybe you rock them or get them in the state of defending, then it's easier to pull it off, and you just took them down without spending a lot of energy, instead of going for a double leg and a single leg and maybe scrambling and fighting over it and exuding a lot of energy. You can get this energy efficient takedown and get a controlling position. So I think that's definitely the biggest strength of kotegaeshi, and I truly believe more people should spend time training it and developing it. It's, in my opinion, very useful. Probably in top 5 most underrated martial arts techniques of all time, and it appears everywhere. So yeah, that's my defense of kotegaeshi.